So my name is Carly Varner, and I am an ultra runner this weekend, among many other things. I'm going to run the Western States 100 for the first time, and it's a few days away, so I'm getting very excited. Hopefully I'm prepared. Is that good?
That's good.
Anymore?
So, and what can you just explain
Do you want to
your relationship to Hal and how that all got started, and maybe what you do for a living as well?
Okay. So a lot of that's connected. So it started out in my career as a graphic designer. I was working for Montreal Footwear, and this was 6 years ago that Hal and I met at our sales meeting in Mazama, Washington. And he was there as one of the sponsored athletes that had just gotten off of the Colorado Trail doing his speed record, setting a speed record. And so we had a slideshow that he presented for us. And so that's kind of how we met. And then pretty quickly after that, it was, at that point in time, Hal was already trying to open a shoe store in Boulder with his father, and there were certain plans that they had that fell through sort of at the last minute, and so it worked out that he was kind of preparing himself when he and I met for a move either to Seattle, where his friend Scott McCoubre had owned the Seattle Running Company, and so that was one option, or he was going to go to Alabama to work with his friend Dink. I think Taylor might be his last name, another Montreal athlete. And then when he met, it was just perfect that I was living in Seattle. And so, after about a month, maybe a month and a half, Hal moved there. And so he worked at the SRC, kind of shadowing with Scott. I mean, he was basic sales associate, but he was really kind of learning how to open a store on his own. So, as that kind of that first year evolved, the plan again was to open the shoe store in Seattle, and, there were certain things that were set up in the works, and then at the last minute that fell through. So, what ended us up here, and in conjunction with that, Montreal got purchased, and so I was ultimately going to be out of a job fairly soon. So we moved down. Before we moved down here, the store didn't work out in Seattle, and so Hal had made some connections and asked around with some of the sales reps that he knew about where there was kind of like a void, where there was an ultra running community, a place that might be a nice place to live that could use a store, such as Hal's store now. And so that ended us up here. Pretty quickly, we came through town and loved it, and met some nice people. And I think about 2 weeks after that, there was one place available downtown, one space for rent, and it was perfect. And so we moved in there, and Hal was here like a week later, and then I was here a month later, and then ever since then he's been working at the store, and I was doing graphic design for Harry and David, and then decided to go off on my own just recently and run more, which has been really nice. Of a free schedule to decide when I want to go run. So because when Hal and I met, he was living in Colorado, we had to kind of come up with creative ideas, because we were either going to meet in the middle, or he was coming to Seattle. And one of our earlier dates, as I call it, I think like our third date, was Western States. And I was really nervous. Having worked at Montreal, I knew what ultras were, but I'd never been out there. I'd never been supporting somebody, and definitely there's no other race like Western States to go out to and be a part of kind of the spectator group and crew and all that. So so I came here, so I flew in and met Hal, and we had an evening, and I got to meet his parents for the first time. And then the next day I spent 17 hours crewing with his parents alone, following him around, which is high pressure, but they're lovely. It's a lovely family.